My people, when Tinubu say he won't start for where Buhari for stop, una think say na joke, una think say na play. My people no be play oh, wahala don happen. Wahala don happen. Una wey be say una dey talk say una wan palliative. My people, Tinubu don go carry shock palliative come wey be say e shock una say even people wey dey request for palliative don dey talk, don dey run say this one don pass, be careful, this one don pass their power. My people, wahala don happen o. A lot of people dey talk say wetin be this one, wetin Tinubu put hand again. My people, oti shele, e don happen. When I say e don happen, yes, e don happen, my people. My people, a lot of Nigeria dey shock say this one too early now, oga Tinubu. This one too early now. Wetin you dey put your hand? You don't know say anything where you put your hand dey affect the Nigerian citizen. My people, e no shock now. When Tinubu first talk say he won't start for when Buhari stop. That means say Buhari dey learn when they talk say this kind step wey be say Tinubu go take. My people, in 2 months wey oga Tinubu enter, my people, make una come hear wetin happen. Make una come watch video, make una come see another one wey be say e don leak come outside wey the Nigerian citizens dey talk say the palliative wey we dey seek for no be like this one we take one time o, no be this way we take talk am o. My people, make una go watch video.
When the president was meeting with the governors of the class of 1999, the president is asking Nigerians to be patient, promising that he will come up with palliatives to assuage the sufferings. What is the nature of these palliatives? And when he was meeting with them, he's made some promises that Nigerians' pains, he understands them, but the Nigerians need to be patient with him as he comes up with ideas on how to, relieve the pains of Nigerians. But let's get an insight and perspectives on this one. I'm being joined by a former presidential candidate and an economist, Mr. Tope Fasua. Thank you so much, Dr. Fasua, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. You look at it. You and I, you've been on this program and we spoke about the policies of this government. You agree that subsidy must go. But the fact a lot of people are criticizing is the plans to cushion the effect. Now, the president is now talking about the plans to cushion what? The people are already having the pinch already. But give us an insight. Is this a loan? Where is this money coming from? This is coming from 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act, budget. What is this all about? Is the money floating somewhere? Is it in our purse? Is it kept in one bank? You are the expert. Give us an insight.
Okay, thank you very much. But as you heard, nowhere was loan mentioned. I've already seen online people suggesting, oh, they are going to take loans and all of that stuff. I mean, this is like sort of a variant from the supplementary budget of 800 billion plus, which President Buhari got against the 2022 budget itself.
A supplementary.
Yeah, supplementary to the 2022. So nobody's talking about the 2023 budget now. Just 2022 budget. That bill actually went in somewhere in December 2022 to say that, look, because of the flooding that happened in 2022, there was need to spend some monies and so on. So what we're doing now is to say that, look, the flooding is an issue, but now there's a general problem which needs to be attacked. The government
so the funds were at the time was 816 billion.
Exactly.
So
they're taking 500
Tinubu is now wants 500 billion
out of that. And that's I mean, I think we have some financial geniuses in government, already. And that's a good move because we're not talking about, I mean, you see, when you're running a government, you must think of everything. You must think of everywhere you can get money. So this is one place that can get money. It's not about borrowing new funds. Remember that Nigeria, as an entity, as a country, every day we're making money. We're making money, ships are berthing, we're making money in MPA, in Nemasa, in FAN, we're making money everywhere, in customs, people are clearing goods. So it's an ongoing thing. At the end of the month, they come together, they say, okay, this is how much has been made, how do we share it and all of that. So I think Nigerians should be happy that at least now we're moving on the issue of palliatives and reliefs for the people, having taken the very hard decisions that the government has taken.
So in my mind, And I don't know, and we need to hear from government what their plans and a global. Nigerians need to be giving an information on what the global plan is. Now,
Indeed.
the 800 million US dollars, that money from the World Bank, you have to spend it from,
have you taken
from
it?
what? No,
Taken it in
the money has been approved. World Bank has come to Nigeria. It has not been disbursed.
Yeah,
so the premise, just remember, the premise I'm saying is, from what I know about the World Bank, if they ask you to buy something with the money they are giving you, you must stick with what they want you to.
Absolutely.
So that money, they've stipulated what that money is going to be meant for. But I have a feeling, and you need to give us an insight, an expert opinion on this, that the 500 billion is what the president thinks he wants to spend the money on, other than what the World Bank 800 million US dollar is for.
Well,
do you think so?
No. You cannot actually tell the mind of government for now, given the fact that it's an emerging story. So a lot of things are going to be clarified in a few days. The $800 million that was being worked on, and which, in fact, the World Bank said they had started working on this since 2021 or sometime that far, has been approved, perhaps not disbursed. And, you know, it doesn't mean that by all means we must take that money. If the new government says that, look, we don't believe in the purpose of this money, for example, that money is actually meant to be shared to people.
There are some lawyers,
in cash.
Like Mr. Falana said,
yes,
that money cannot be a loan. It has to be a grant.
Indeed,
but, so that controversy
but it is a loan. Indeed, I think it's a loan. Initially, we thought it was a grant. Yeah,
but based on our laws and the body of our laws, it says Nigeria cannot get a loan for that kind of purpose.
Which it shares to people. Invariably, but, you know, in international finance, you also have to be careful. The point is, if you look at the hierarchy in international finance, the way they've done it is that organizations like World Bank, IMF, they get paid first. And it doesn't matter what they call the kind of money, if you have to pay back at some point in time, it's a loan. So I don't think that the present government believes in giving out cash handouts, except in very rare cases. And of course, you have to safeguard that to ensure that it actually goes into the right hands. We had some very bad experiences around COVID time when monies were disbursed in that manner. So I don't also believe that this 500 billion is going to be spent in that way, you know, because I think we have a bit more deeper thinking in government now than what we used to have. I mean, and perhaps I could second guess them. Yeah. That perhaps where there's a need to spend on transport infrastructure now. To reduce the cost of transportation for many people. There's a need to begin to target where the inflation is coming from. For example, helping the farmers in order to reduce inflation. Okay, there's a need perhaps for them to begin to prepare for paying maybe higher salaries for the civil servants. So there are many ways you can spend that money, all right? Not necessarily just saying, oh, we've given the money out to some people. If you give money out, that's inflationary money.
Let me for example,
and increase inflation all the same.
Let's tickle the fancy of our viewers tonight, especially those who are government workers. And there are suggestions as to, people are already suggesting, the figure, the minimum wage should be raised to from the 30,000. So you imagine, for example, the wage bill of government will go up. Yeah. Should there be a jack in the minimum wage? Yeah. So this could be, this 500 billion could be also a package. Should it? I mean, that could be a low-hanging fruit, isn't it? Money directly into the hands of people.
Well, you got to be very careful about that.
Their purchasing power has dropped.
Absolutely, indeed, yes. But you have to be very careful about that. How high do you want to go? Remember that, number one, you still have to think about whether the private sector can catch up with it. Because whatever you're doing in the public sector must be replicated in the private sector. I don't want people to sack staff and all of that. So how do they cope? What about the informal sector in general? How do they? So if you give money, it's been done before. You give money to public servants, they rush to the market to buy things, prices go up, and other people begin to suffer. So yes, it seems like there has to be an increase in wages across the board, even in the private sector where I operate. Or even now, I've increased my staff salary already without, because it's just we see what's going on in the country, and of course, you must do the needful. So, but again, I wanted to say that this 500 billion is just the beginning. This is the government of renewed hope. Okay, it's just a case of, okay, listen, there's a 800 billion there. Can we claw it back while we're thinking of other things? And of course, I believe, look, and if you look at the savings the government is going to make, government is going to be getting considerably more money as a result of the floating of the naira. More naira is going to come in for every dollar income that comes in for government. And of course, again, you know, in terms, apart from the floating of the naira, even in terms of the deregulation of the sector, of the petroleum sector, there's considerably amount of money, considerable amount of money is going to come in.
For those of us who are not very, we're not economy and finance, we don't have so much knowledge like yourself. Where is this money? Was it hanging somewhere? Is it being kept somewhere?
No, like I said,
the 800 billion is the money.
Like I said, no. So it's a case of listen. If you set a budget for this year, for example, and you say, okay, you know what, I want to spend 10 billion this year, but I need, at the end of the year, you say, listen, I need 500 billion more for this same year that I need to spend, okay? So there's a budget, there's a financing aspect of the budget that this is how we're going to finance the budget. Arrangements will be made in time as to where to get the monies from. So that extra budget has been provided for. So it's a case of, and again, like I said earlier on, Nigerian government makes money every day.
So we need to also,
yes, so
and I wanted you to explain that, because our viewers need to also understand that you cannot spend government money without appropriation.
Absolutely.
Appropriation is a process, to say, an approval process, that every kobo that is spent, so there is an approval, is a window of approval that has not been spent and used.
Exactly.
And the possibility of government being able to use it.
Absolutely.
Since there's a 2023,
repurposing, basically. And you could see from the letter that was read, you know, that this government intends to do things the right way. We've seen in the past, sometimes when government gets arrogant, they spend whatever. Later you'll be hearing, oh, they spend this much. For example, all of the things that went on with central bank and so on. But this government is trying to say, listen, according to the law, and you could hear that in the body of the letter, that we are not going to spend this except we tell you that we're not going to even repurpose this amount except we get approval from you. That's
I'm
exactly
just imagining that President Tinubu will come out on a day to announce palliative plan for the nation, a comprehensive palliative plan. Because some states, I think that it has to be a robust.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking
don't even call it palliative, really. I don't like the word palliative because it sounds like a plaster on a wound. You know what I'm saying?
There's a wound, isn't it?
We need a proper treatment for that wound. So, you know, before you just put a plaster on a wound, you're going to treat, you're going to clean that wound and all of that before you, and then you're going to say, okay, when are we removing this plaster? And so on. Before we, so invariably, I would want, you know, things like reliefs in the immediate term, but a much more comprehensive idea will be sold as to where this economy is going to, essentially harking back to campaign promises, you know, how much growth rate you want in the economy, how many employment do you want to create in the economy. We can even decide to have a job focus. Okay, I mentioned inflationary target, inflation management earlier on to say we can't just keep talking about, you know, interest rates. It's not working. To increase the interest rate and keep increasing interest rate, it seems not to be working. There are other ways also to assist you in managing inflation. But I think what needs to be also looked at now is to have a job focus, to target what they call in economics, you know, full employment. To say, okay, listen, how can we reduce this 33% unemployment to something much more reasonable? And indeed, I say to people that, listen, whether there's jobs in our public sector, still, we're not talking about people pushing files. We can also use that as a way of doing the palliative. Say, you know, there's a job in the public sector, you know, which they can collaborate to the private sector, in the environmental sector, in the security sector, in mass mobilization, in social work. Do you know that 70% of people who travel out of Nigeria, all the Japa people that we talk about, they go to do social work. You know, they're taking care of, you know, mentally disadvantaged people, old people, sick people and all. We haven't even started. So if we do that, we'll be creating the enabling environment for the private sector to say, okay, now this is a country that is getting organized. Let's take money there and see how much money we can make in that country.
My people, now the video now on a new watch finish, so on a see what it happen for inside the video. All right, my people, I go like to end the video for you. Make una let me know waiting on a thing for the comment section, and if una never subscribe, make una subscribe to my YouTube channel so that una no go miss any latest gist way I dey upload. And those of una will be see una never follow my Facebook page, make una follow so that una no go see miss any latest gist way I dey upload. And bye bye till I come on our next time. Bye guys, see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.